The first thing we're going to do today to create our string art is to make sure we put our name on it. Okay, once you have your name on the brown side, make sure it is on the brown side because the brown side is going to be our back of our string art. Then turn it over and you'll see that the front is white, has 16 holes put in around the circle of the cardboard. The first thing that we'll need to do is to pick our yarn, and you want to pick one color and just pull one piece out. And then you're going to need to put this in your needle. And to do this, we're going to use these little pieces of paper, and they're just a small piece of paper that's folded in half, kind of like a hot dog bun. And we're going to put our yarn in there like it's a hot dog, making sure that none is sticking out. And we're going to squeeze pretty tight. And we're just going to put that paper right into the hole and pull it through. So I'm going to show you that again. So we're going to put our yarn in the paper, fold it over, give it a squeeze, and then put it through the hole in our needle, and then pull it through. Now, to keep this on here, we're going to have to tie just a single knot. So put your yarn in a U, turn your U into an O, and then bring that tail up through the hole and just pull it tight. And if you need help with that, just ask and one of us will come and help you. So now that we have that done, we can start to make our string art. So we are going to start by putting our needle through one of the holes. And we want to go from the brown side to the white side. And we're just going to pull that up. And now I'm going to put my needle down because we've got a long piece of yarn and I don't want to accidentally pull it and maybe bump somebody sitting next to me by pulling it. So I'm just going to keep pulling until I get to the end and making sure it doesn't come out. I'm just going to have a little tail on the brown side. And I'm going to take one of the pieces of tape and I'm just going to tape that down, making sure that I'm not covering up the hole. So I'm going to make sure I don't cover up that hole. Okay, then I'm going to turn it back over and we're going to do the radiating design. So everything's going to start from this hole. So the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the next one here and I'm going to pull my yarn through. And then I'm going to, on the back side, come right up through that first hole that we started with and pull my yarn through. Then we're going to take our needle and we're going to go to the next hole, starting to work our way around the circle. And then back up from the starting hole, pulling our yarn through and going to the next one around the circle. Pulling yarn through and coming back to the hole that we started with in the beginning. So everything's going to be radiating from this first hole. And you can see it's starting to make our pattern. Back up through the very first hole and into the one here. Now I can see that I'm not going to have enough yarn to go around one more time. So I'm going to turn it over and I am going to cut it. I'm going to cut a little piece, just a little piece, and I'm going to use another piece of tape, not covering up the hole, and I'm just going to secure that down on the back side. Everything's going to be on the back. And then I can get another piece of yarn and rethread my needle and go on to finish my design. In the paper, put it through the hole, and tie my knot. Now, we're just going to put our needle through the hole that we started with, and we're going to keep pulling until we just have a little bit of a tail again. Take another piece of tape and tape it down, making sure that we're not covering up any holes. And then we can just go back to finishing our pattern. Now we need to make sure that we don't ever wrap ours around the bottom. There should be no yarn around this outside edge. So she should be coming up through the hole that you started with and then back down through the hole at the other side, making sure that no yarn is going around the outside edge. And again, I'm not going to have enough to go around again, so I'm going to need to cut it again and put a new piece of yarn on. Make sure that when we tape that we do not cover any of the holes. And leaving just a small tail and making sure that we tape it down. And then continuing over on the white side, go down through that hole and just pull our yarn until it is tight. And back through the first hole and just keep working our way around. Now again, I'm going to have to put one more piece on. Make sure we only have a small tail and taping it down, not covering up any hole. Back to the other side, making sure that no yarn is wrapping around the edges. Continue making our pattern until we have gone through every hole around the edge. And if your yarn starts to come untied, just keep look at that and just kind of tighten it back up. Okay, now that we've filled every one, we can trim this off and tape this one down as well, making sure we're not covering up any holes. So you can see that we now have our design all radiating from this one starting place that we picked. So it's all radiating out. So if you have more time, you could also turn it and you could do another pattern coming from the other side. And you could pick a different color, same color, it's up to you. Now I'm going to pick the hole that is directly across from it, and I'm going to start just like I did before, coming from the back side, pulling till I have a small tail, and taping down my yarn, making sure that I do not cover up the hole. Now I'm going to start the same way I did before and just start working my way around the circle, coming back up through the first hole and making sure our yarn stays tight on the needle. Now I can see that I've got just a little bit left here again, so I'm going to trim it, tape it down, and start with a new yarn, making sure that when I tape this down that I'm not covering, and making sure that we do not go around the outside of our cardboard. And now we have a second color radiating from this hole. And then remember the other one is radiating from here. And you can see on the back you have a similar pattern. And there is no yarn overlapping these edges here. And then here there is a third color radiating out from one point. So you can continue adding colors as much as with the time that you have. So for this next one called Spectrum, we are going to start the same way we did the other option, and that is always to start with your name on the back. Okay, we'll start with this first hole, and you're going to go through and pull till you have a small tail, and use a piece of tape, of course not covering the hole, to tape it down and hold it. And then you're going to go up to the next hole and pull your yarn through till it's just snug. Then you're going to come back through the hole that you started with, making sure we're not wrapping around the outside edge. Now I have almost just enough, so I'm just going to go here to the back and go through the next hole and kind of just do a trick to stretch my yarn a little bit further. So now that we've gone through and we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes, and we've got it down here, we're just going to take it and tape it down. Now we're going to go to the next color and repeat the same thing. Now when we start here, we're going to go to the next hole to it, and then we're going to go up 1, back through the starting spot, and then up to the next one, and keep going until we have done 6 again. And then see, we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the next color, and we'll just keep going around, and it will start to make a curve. So started here, so now we're going to go to the next hole along the circle, making sure we don't pull all the way through and just leaving a small tail to tape. And then you're going to go back to the one that you started, that you just finished, then working your way around the board again, remembering not to wrap anything around the outside edge. And there we have our 6 again, and I'm just going to go to the back side and tape it down. We're going up to the hole that we just finished, and then work our way around doing 6. So again, we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can see how it's starting to make this curve. And you can just keep going using whichever colors you want as you work your way around. And you can just keep going around as much as you would like. So if you keep going around the circle, it will complete the circle, and you will end up with something that looks like this. This one was done with different colors, and they repeated each color twice. This one, of course, was done with every other color. So just look at the colors that you have, choices you have of yarn in front of you, and decide on which colors you would like to use.